guys, welcome to the third episode of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on Ace Podcast Nation. I'm your co-host Si, and I'm joined by ex-championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell, to talk the weekends going on in the Skybet Championship. And it could be a very grumpy or expletive-filled show, we don't know yet, but results-wise, it did not go our way. But there was plenty of good football to talk about. Welcome, Andy, back. It's great to have you back.
Thanks, mate.
The result, mate. It was a rough weekend for me and you, I think.
Yeah, extremely, mate. Well, ruined 2 days, didn't it? It ruined the whole weekend for me, Saturday and Sunday. So it wasn't just one day; it ruined them both.
Oh yeah, and like the other thing, then as well is like when I was little, I used to watch Man United with my old man, and obviously because like he died when I was about 16. So I've always kind of kept a half an eye on them. So then I had them on sort of Monday. Not that doesn't ruin my weekend if they don't play well, but like it was just like the third day in a row of it not really being enjoyable.
It should have been a lot better for them.
Yeah, they should. Wolves though, mate. I love watching Wolves.
Good side, yeah.
One of my favourite teams to watch.
Good side.
But them and Charlton are my teams to watch at the moment. I love them both.
Yeah, they're both doing well.
Oh yeah. So we'll get into the results and the news. We'll just do the little plugs before get everyone doing the stuff. Get them watching. Get them listening. So all the shows that we do are available at video format. YouTube.com/AcePodcastNation. Audio at all the usual podcasting sites: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio app, and a few others. You can also go to pod.co/ace-cast-nation. Today's show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Away Day Apparel is a group of casually obsessed football fans looking to bring something different to the wardrobes of like-minded people. With football, music, and weekend carnage high on the agenda, they aim to bring you exclusive products. They are edgy, controversial, but most importantly, current. From t-shirts, polos, shirts, shorts to hoodies, jackets and accessories. Stick with them and they aim to bring you the terrace wear that will turn heads and provide cutting-edge look that we all crave. Keep an eye on them and they will keep an eye on you. So that's Away Day Apparels, and as we discussed last week, can't speak highly enough of the guy who runs it, and they've brought on a top designer who's worked with Massimo Osti and a lot of other labels, which I can't remember off the top of my head now, and I did make a note of him. But his name's Aidy Wollaston, and he's a very, very talented designer. So they're definitely one to keep an eye on. Here at the channels, we've got series shows on all sorts of subjects. We've got mental health, football, serial killers, films, TV, conspiracy theories, wrestling, music, and pretty much anything else you could think of. We've also brought out a new series recently, which was called Unscripted and Uncensored, where we had guests so far have been Rodri Giggs, British MMA legend Lee Remedios, and we also had the boss man from Away Day Apparel, Mr. Alan Jones, which was released this past Monday. We discussed clothes, football, music, terrace culture, boxing, and the infamous Stone Roses gig at Newport in the late 90s. It was a really fun show, really good show. I've had good feedback for it as well. And so that's good. The difference with that show basically is instead of me having a load of questions and interviewing people, the viewers and the listeners send in any subject, any question they want, and me and the guest have to discuss it. So it can be quite entertaining. When I did the show with Lee Remedios, we didn't talk about MMA for very long. It went off onto all sorts of tangents, but it's good fun, good laugh, and people seem to like it, which is the main thing. So with all the usual plugs, the one other thing I was going to say to everyone watching and listening is please send us comments, messages, questions, interact. That's the most important thing for us, and it's the best way for us to grow is to get more listeners, subscribers, share the videos, audio files, everything you can think of. Tell us what we could do better. Tell us what we're doing well. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't. And with that, all the housekeeping out the way, let's get ready for talk some football. Another weekend of action, bad tackles, bad language, and all in between. And I think that was just me over the weekend. So I think we'll start with Cardiff, mate. Get my rant out of the way.
Oh, where do we start? Because I was so looking forward to the game, because all I'd probably gone on about, I'd probably annoyed a lot of Reading fans with how poor they were, how much they were going to struggle. But with what I saw and the goals I saw and the chances created, that Reading looked a decent outfit going forward, and Cardiff looked at an absolute disaster of what we've been speaking about. We speak about these Neil Warnock kind of teams and these Neil Warnock kind of performances. This currently, on current form, is not a Neil Warnock kind of team. The shipping goals left, right and centre. It's the way the shipping goals, you know what I mean? A couple of the goals were outstanding, you know what I mean? There were some individual goals, some team goals. I thought, you know, and that's not taken away from what Reading did, but they just carved City open every time they got the ball. And you know what I mean, 3-0 was probably harsh on Reading with some of the chances that they missed as well. So you know what I mean, it was just a bad day at the office, and it is early doors, and you know what I mean, that everyone hasn't got the house in order just as yet. But sooner or later things have got to give, because you know what I mean, that was disastrous. And for all the Cardiff fans who travelled down to Reading, will have gone there with high expectations, and you know what I mean, their weekend before going back to work on Monday will have been absolutely disastrous, because it was a horror show. And some of the things I've read on social media, especially on Twitter, from Sunday and today, that the supporters are still going on about it, and still are very hurt, and rightly so. But I look at the other way, and I look at how good Reading played on the day, and you know what I mean, can't take that away from them. You know what I mean, Puskas, who scored probably one of the goals of the season so far. It's only 4 games in, but it was an outstanding goal. And you know what I mean, how he didn't score his hat-trick on he missed the easiest one, you know what I mean, which, you know what I mean, for an individual I'd have loved to see his hat-trick. I'm glad he didn't, because the scoreline would have been a hell of a lot worse. But you know what I mean, it was just an awful day at the office for City, and they need to get over it very quickly, because the games are coming thick and fast.
Yeah, I got to say, so one thing I was going to say before I go into my view of it, I noticed on your Facebook page there was some people were talking about it, and the one guy said he thought that the Cardiff team looked like Warnock had lost the dressing room. Now, I had never considered that. I had never thought of it. I just thought, didn't even come into my mind. But they went so off the rails after 20 minutes that I can see why people would say that. I don't think that's the case. I just think it was a bad day at the office. But I got to say, first 15 minutes, I haven't seen a Cardiff side under Warnock pass the ball around so much in midfield without doing a lot. It was like in their own half, along the halfway line, really tidy and technically great. But they had no creativity, no cutting edge, no crosses in the box. So you've signed this big Gratzel striker, barely touched the ball. And when he does, he's isolated on his own. It was really disappointing. And then as soon as Pack went off injured, it was it. It was like no one knew what they were doing. It was like he was holding them together.
But I look at his team selection on side, and by Talim, on paper, I thought it was an excellent team. I thought he selected the right team. I thought, like you just said there, it's 3 centre midfielders there of Pack, Walks and Rolls. I thought, you know what I mean, you've got 3 neat and tidy footballers. All 3 of them want to get on the ball. They've got a good mix. They like to get stuck in. You know what I mean? They'll enjoy the battle. They enjoy getting on the ball. They want to get forward. They want to break the neck to get in the box. There's just something not right. You know what I mean? The season we got promoted, even the Premier League, that we played for second balls. We put the ball forward in good areas. We got up as a team. It's just not working at the minute for whatever reason. I'm not sure. You know, I mean, when it clicks, and hopefully it does, and hopefully soon that. But you can't get away from the result, and the result was an absolute travesty. And you know what I mean, you can't legislate for that, and you can't cover up the cracks. You know what I mean? It's a 3-0 defeat, and you know what I mean. Nathan, are they missing the goalkeeper that much? Does he make that much of a difference? Possibly, maybe he does. You know what I mean? But if we are just going to change the goalkeeper and things are going to miraculously turn around, then That doesn't say a lot at the minute for the goalkeeper who's in, and you know what I mean. I'd like to think that we're better than just a goalkeeper. You know what I mean. So for me, I think everyone needs to do the jobs. Everyone needs to understand what's expected from them, and go from there, because hard work's the key. You know what I mean. You can't just go into this league expecting to come out of it smelling the roses. You know what I mean. There's too many big sides and ex-Premier League clubs who want to get back to that holy grail, and Cardiff have no divine right of doing it, and certainly on Sunday's performance, they will not get back to the Premier League with performances like that.
No, and I thought they gave the ball away in horrendous positions.
Yeah. Like overplaying, like you said there, they're all overplaying in the wrong areas.
But when they're outnumbered, they were outnumbered at 3 or 4 against 2 at the back, and then they're trying to sort of bring it down and do these little turns. Like, what did you expect? The one thing I would say about the selection, I agree with you, that was the midfield that I would have picked.
Yeah, I would have.
The only difference is I'd have Lee Tomlin on that bench. He's super fit. He's fit. He's in the best shape of his life. He's really, got his head together, and he's sorted himself out. He's training hard by all accounts. Everything we hear.
Yeah.
He can do it in the Championship. He's very, very creative. He can give you something out of nothing. And I just thought, if you'd had him on the bench, you could have brought him on, and after an hour when it was still 2-0. And if Cardiff score at 2-0, it could be a different game.
Well, they could have scored. Joe had a good shot, keeper saved it. Gratzel had a good shot, keeper tipped it over the bar. There was enough chances there to get back into the game at 2-0. All right, we had to push men forward. Reading broke away, should have made it 3, probably should have made it even more than what they did. They got the 3rd goal, they missed a penalty. You know what I mean? This is just the Championship, you know what I mean? Cardiff could have got back into it. Reading could have gone and scored 5 and 6 easily. So you know what I mean? It's just getting that fine balance. But the first goal in the game is certainly the first goal and the second goal. They're absolutely massive at this level, because you know what I mean. If Cardiff City are 1 or 2 ahead, you know what I mean. That people leave big gaps against them, and they've got good enough players to hurt you. And so have teams like Reading now, because they showed it on Saturday. Because Cardiff's team on paper was far stronger than Reading's, but paper doesn't win a football match, and Reading fully deserved to win that game, hands down, and hopefully in the return fixture later on in the season, the Cardiff can get their own back, because if I was a player and we played against them in the reverse fixture, I'd want to get my own back for sure. Yeah,
they wasn't good enough. From a Reading point of view, I thought the one thing that they improved upon from their previous couple of games is their defence. I thought, because going forward, this Pushkas and the other boys, they've looked dangerous going forward in the previous couple of games, but they've looked shaky, to say the least, at the back. But on Sunday, they looked almost impenetrable. They had 5 at the back. They just sat with that 5. And Cardiff, because they were 1-0 down, then they just had they just couldn't break them down, which is where you need that perhaps bit of something creative, something different.
But I think though, when you're 2-0 up at half time, mate, you know what I mean? You've got the full second half knowing you're going to find gaps, because the team, their team talk at half time will have been Cardiff have got to come at us, stay strong first 15, 20 minutes, then we'll get more chances. You know what I mean? The first 15, 20 minutes, you win the game. And that's what they did. The second half, they killed the game off a little bit. They weathered a little bit of a storm, and then they should have got more than what they ended up with. But I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, could have been 4 or 5. Pushkas, excellent. I thought he was
superb. Yeah, his first goal in particular, excellent goal, individual goal, cut inside of Joe Bennett and got the better of him and put away tidy finish. The second goal, cut across. I think it was Morrison, you know what I mean, and brilliant finish at the front post. You know, it's a proper centre forwards goal, and just showed his class. And you know what I mean, it just shows that each Championship club's got a talented player, at least one. You know what I mean? And he was their standout player on the day. And if he can continue it, you know what I mean, and he'll upset a lot of Championship sides, because there's no stronger defence on the day than Cardiff City's. It just didn't turn up on Sunday, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got to say, you're right. It was individually, they were both very good goals. I thought the first goal, I thought Joe Bennett could have done a little bit better. I thought he got turned around, and then he kind of...
Well, I think Joe showed him on the wrong side. I think he showed him on his left instead of showing him down the line, and showed him away from danger. And you know what I mean? It's trying out. You know what I mean? You try. He he didn't intentionally give a goal away.
No,
Joe
of
thought
course
that
not.
he let him cut inside and he let him shoot because he thought it was an ideal opportunity for the goalkeeper to save. But you give someone an opportunity to shoot, they've got a good opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, and Puskas delivered that with an excellent strike. You know what I mean? And then got a deserved second later on. So he had a very good afternoon.
You say about the keeper, Smithies, not last season, but the season before for QPR was excellent. So I think it might have just been nerves. He hasn't played very much.
Yeah, I think he lacked a bit of confidence as well. He dropped a chance. I think in between 1 and 2-0, and was quite lucky. If you see the replay, might have given a penalty away because he went through the man and then got the ball. But he's a good enough goalkeeper, and I'm sure
that was a striker saying that. Or the keeper.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Jesus Christ,
definite pen.
Yeah, I've never seen a Neil Warnock side look so tactically naive and in just disarray in that second half. At points, Bakuna, I don't know what he was doing at some point.
He had a really bad afternoon. Yeah, really bad afternoon. And these players are good players, but they just didn't gel individually or collectively on Sunday lunchtime, and it was just such a shame to see it unfold in front of your eyes, because the football clubs, you're proud to play for it. You're proud to support it, and on lunchtime it was a horror show from first to last, because it didn't start very well and got worse. Well, like you say, when Pack went off, the whole thing just felt a bit.
Yeah, I can feel the Leeds and the Swansea fans saying, "Move on."
Yeah, so can I. We'll just brush over though.
Yeah, just talk about it for like 45 minutes, and then spend 2 minutes on the rest. No. Yeah. So next up, we got Barnsley and Charlton, which was Barnsley 2, Charlton 2. Charlton are my favourite team to watch, as I mentioned at the moment, because as a Cardiff fan, I can't enjoy watching Leeds or Swansea.
Yeah, what a game though! What a football game!
Unbelievable, wasn't it? Barnsley were excellent.
It had everything. It had wonder goals. It had excellent goalkeeping. Woodrow's goal, the first goal for Barnsley, I thought was absolutely outstanding. You know what I mean? It was one of the goals of the season again. You know what I mean? We were inundated with excellent goals over the course of the weekend. But you know what I mean? Every time Barnsley or Charlton both went forward, they looked like they were going to score. They were just creating chances. The defences looked all over the place. I bet both goalkeepers was pulling their head out by the end of the afternoon, because they were both busy. You know what I mean? The amount of shots and goalkeeping saves that they both had to do was outstanding. But then both of those sides have nothing to lose. They're both coming to the Championship. They're both coming full of confidence. They both won early doors in the league, and you know what I mean. Lee Boy has done an outstanding job. You know what I mean, considering that they came up in the playoffs and they haven't really brought any players in. You know what I mean. He's still working with a lot of the last year's players, or spent very little money and just brought free transfers in. He's doing a great job, and to go to Barnsley and get a draw, winning games at home, you know what I mean. The minute he's got the perfect formula, and you know what I mean. They're stuck in the top three in the Championship for a reason. I know it's only early doors, but you know what I mean. They'll play again through the week, and I wouldn't like to go to the Valley. I certainly wouldn't like to go to the Valley and play and try and get a result, because they've got pace, they've got power, they're creating chances, they're full of energy, they're full of confidence, and at the minute they can beat anybody on their day.
Absolutely. I thought Barnsley were really impressive. Direct, pacey. Like I say, they looked dangerous every time they went forward. Woodrow in particular, I thought caught the eye.
He's got a good pedigree though. He came for it. He started off at Fulham years ago, and I always followed him because he was technically a very good player. He's had a good pedigree. He came through their famous youth team, and technically, you know what I mean. You see the goal he scored at the weekend. His goal was outstanding. You know what I mean. And good, really good players can score them all the time. It's not a fluke. You know what I mean. When somebody hits it and it is a fluke, you can tell by their celebration. He knows he's got the talent to do it, and he's on the big stage now, and can he go on to do it at another level? I believe he can, because I believe he's dropped down a level to step up another level, and I think one day he'll get that opportunity to do it, because I think he, for me, deserves it.
Yeah, I think he's certainly good enough to need to play up a level. My boy Lyle Taylor again scores.
Yeah, he did excellent, didn't he?
Firing, and I thought he worked so hard, just up and down, and he was making good runs. That penalty, if I was his manager, I'd have been like, oh, Jesus. He made Pogba's run up from last year look like he was rushing. he kind of
but
just...
I'm saying what though, the confidence and the composure though to do it. Well, I thought he was going. When I watched it the first time, I thought he was going to start jogging at the end. He walked for the full thing and just didn't stop. And you know what? That's just composure at its finest. And it just shows the ability of the boy, because you know what I mean. It's not arrogance. It's just pure quality, and you know what I mean. I'm glad he did it, and I'll be interested to see though if he did it again for his next one. If he did it Saturday or tomorrow, because you know what I mean. It's do you do it in a different situation against a different goalkeeper after the goalkeeper's just seen it? You know, it's always a different thing, isn't it?
He did it it was like an 89th minute penalty to make it 2-2. You know, if he's going to do it in that situation, I would assume he's going to do it in most.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he does.
You know, if he misses it, I'm sure he'll get some pelters. But I mean, you know, it's at the end of the day, all that matters is that you score the penalty. And you know, and the keepers won't have seen that type of penalty that often. So it's, you know, something else for them to think about when they're trying to save it. Again, Lee Bowyer tactically, I said last week he impressed me because he matched up the opposition with a diamond and changed his formation slightly. The second half in this game, he did it again. He just tinkered with it a little bit to, you know, to really push on and try and get back in the game, and he did. And I find it equally impressive. I was reading over the weekend that a year or two ago, he was nearly out of the game completely. He had got some fishing thing, and he was pretty much done with football. And I'm so glad that, you know, he's come back and he's doing like you say, fantastic job at Charlton.
Well, I think he only got the job originally because he was caretaker manager. You know what I mean? And he did really well. I think he enjoyed it, and he's got his opportunity, and it's just it's a fairy tale story, because you know what I mean. As a player, he was excellent. He's had a great career. And you know, I mean, there's no guarantee then you can pass that on to be a manager, and you know, I mean, he's worked with some very good managers in the past in his football career, and it's showing now with working with good, young, hungry footballers, and you know, I mean, he's certainly enjoying the style of play. He's certainly enjoying the Championship. I think he's more than he did in League One, because he's playing some better stuff, more attractive than what I saw from last season. You know what I mean? He's gone to another level, and his players are raising their abilities, and you know what I mean, and so far so good for them.
Yeah, and like Lyle Taylor, isn't he? You know, he's gone up a league and he keeps scoring goals. He is a shout for you. Then I think Lee Bowyer for the next Leeds manager when Beisler goes to a bigger club. Good shout. Leeds fans won't like that, a bigger club, no. But I think they've done so well to get him as a manager. I think, you know, he's like. He'll be in for the big jobs soon enough. Yeah. And I think Bowyer would be a good fit for Leeds.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
So next up, we've got Blackburn 1, Middlesbrough 0. I'll leave this one to you, pal. But one thing I will say is Rovers have been garbage all season.
No, to be fair, I didn't expect a very good game. You know what I mean? Blackburn have probably been average at best, and Middlesbrough haven't scored goals. So, you know what I mean? I didn't see it being a goal fest. And I seen probably a drab 1-0 or Middlesbrough get away with a lucky 0-0. Yeah, I probably would have been happy with that. And then the penalty was quite soft. He pulled his shirt. Of course he did. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? As a Middlesbrough fan, it's a soft one. But as a centre forward, somebody pulls your shirt, it's a penalty kick. So you can't be doing that in the box and getting away with it. So Danny Graham stepped up, scored a very good penalty. Stewie Downing had another couple of chances. Blackburn fully deserved the win. You know what I mean? Middlesbrough in dire straits to start the season. Really, you know what I mean? Confidence has been rocked, but it's work in progress. You know what I mean? The manager is put something in place. He's trying to put a style of play in, a formation with personnel, and long term, will it work out? You can only be judged after 20-25 games from me up till Christmas. You know what I mean? You can't judge a new manager after 4 games, and you know what I mean. He's attacking, trying to go forward in certain games. He's trying to defend in certain. He's got to get the right balance, and so far it's not really working for him. But I've got every confidence in the players he's got at the club, and him as an individual, that he'll get it right, because he's got the backing of the chairman. You know what I mean? The football clubs are a good football club. The fans are very passionate, and I'm sure that when they do start winning, the fans will get behind them. It'll breed confidence, and same as Cardiff, that one win will turn into 5 and 6 for sure, I think.
Yeah, I think there was positives there for Borough. There's signs of improvement, and like you in the preview show we did a few weeks back, you discussed how terrible Borough were to watch last year.
Yeah.
And when you're going to completely overhaul a way of playing, the way the team plays, the formation, everything, and change the style of play from that drab, sort of negative defensive football to something a bit more attacking and a bit more fluid, it takes time, like you say. So I wouldn't give up on Woodgate just yet if I was a Borough fan.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Stuart Downing's getting there. I think he's looking fitter. And if they can get him firing and, full fitness, full form, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? To be fair, I'm a part of me. You know what I mean. Tony Mowbray, one of my heroes when I was a kid. So if anyone was gonna beat Middlesbrough, you know what I mean. Tony is one of my heroes. So and Stewie's a good friend of mine. So I'm glad that Stewie ended up being on the happy side at the weekend, and Tony got up and going, because you know what I mean. Tony Mowbray would be under pressure if he didn't win on Saturday. Likewise, you know what I mean. Same as Woody. So. You know what I mean? Everyone's job's up for grabs at the minute. You know what I mean? You see somebody losing a job, which I'm sure we'll speak about when we go into their game. But it's such a cutthroat industry at the minute, football, and it's such a shame that we're 3 games in, that people are losing their jobs, and we're talking about the negativity of a football club. You know what I mean? People have got to be judged, or they've got to be given a half a season at least, or if not a full season, because who knows what's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 games. Exactly, you can go on a 5-6 game winning streak and end up top of the league or back in the playoffs. It's likewise, you can be top of the league in August, September, and then you could be bottom of the league by Christmas. You know what I mean? So we all know that Leeds have won the league by now, but listen, by May things might change.
Well, they probably will.
Yeah, probably.
Derby will go to 4 pieces, and Leeds will fail the last line. Maybe that'll be popular. No, I'm only kidding. Like the thing is, the way I look at it is, in the Championship, it's so up and down, and it's so anyone could beat anyone. If you're sacking managers after 3-4 games, you're going to just be a revolving door literally all season long. Because
you're putting the pressure on somebody else, because if somebody else comes in at a football club and loses the first 5-6 games, then you've got to sack him. You have to sack him, because you've set that precedent now. You know what I mean? So you can't say I'm going to give him 10 games, 20 games, a full season. You know what I mean? You're in a different animal now. You know what I mean? You've left the Premier League. You're into the Championship. Everyone's expecting you to win. No one's allowed just to win every football match. Football's not that easy. You go into a football club, a nice place to play, a lovely pitch. You sat on a pedestal. Everyone wants to beat you. Same as Cardiff City, same as Fulham, same as Middlesbrough, same as Leeds, same as Derby. No one's got the divine right to win. And I've just named 8 clubs there in about 12 seconds, and every one of those is never going to win every Saturday. So it makes it intriguing, makes it interesting, and it makes me love the Championship at the minute.
Yes, great to watch, and great teams, as we're going to get into now. Next up, we've got Brentford 1, Hull 1. I've been really impressed with Hull the first few games. I've really liked the way they're playing. They surprised me. A huge fan of Jared Bowen.
Jared Bowen scored again. Yeah, he scored a very good goal as well. I was impressed with him. And Ollie Watkins scored again. I scored at Middlesbrough last Saturday. So you know what I mean. He's obviously taken over from the boy who signed for Brighton. And two good sides. You know what I mean. Brentford especially. You know what I mean. The good going forward. The strong at the back. You know what I mean. They're just not clicking at the minute. And getting the results probably what they deserve. You know what I mean? They go to Middlesbrough, kept a clean sheet. I thought they would have comfortably beaten Hull at home. You know what I mean? So teams aren't backing up what they did in the previous game at the minute for me. So, you know what I mean? That's why things aren't settling down, and results and teams aren't getting probably, I wouldn't say what they deserve, because, you know what I mean, Hull went there with the game plan. They created chances. They scored the first goal just after half time, deserved the goal from Jared Bowen, scored a very good goal. But then they were hanging on. You know what I mean? Teams seem to score and then sit and hope that they can just sit back and hang on. And I don't think there's one team in this league who I'd be comfortable just by sitting and defending. And Hull City certainly can't do it, and they didn't do it. And by the end of the game, they probably should have lost. because Watkins had another chance. I think he hit the crossbar, and you know what I mean. On another day, Brentford would have been 6 from 6 from the last 2 games.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I thought Keith Stewart was excellent for Hull. The Brentford goal offside, maybe.
Well, I think we had this last week with the Middlesbrough game. That Middlesbrough complaining about offside goals, and you know what I mean, Brentford getting the rub of the green. They got rub of the green again, but you know what I mean. There's human error. You know what I mean. The referee linesmen are going to make a mistake. People say things will even out across the season. You know what I mean. Unless we have the VAR debacle at the minute for me, what's happening in the Premier League, which is just killing the fun, the enjoyment. You're getting teams and supporters who are celebrating no goals or goals disallowed. It's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a goal which shouldn't be a goal, and then hoping that things, and that we can talk about in the pub, or we can, you know what I mean, then just cut football in half and just let it bleed, because it's, you know what I mean, the Championship, I think that's why it's more intriguing this season, because things are a lot more interesting, and you know what I mean, the goals which shouldn't be given are helping.
Yeah, I think about 18 months ago I was kind of all for VAR, and I've changed my opinion. I changed my opinion in the World Cup? Yeah, the World Cup, wasn't it, where they used it before the Premier League, and it was just, I just think it just kind of kills the momentum of the game. It's just, and in the Premier League this year, I'm not enjoying it at all. I think it's really killing like the emotion of scoring a goal, because you're like, their team's waiting and they don't know whether to celebrate or whether to not. If they do celebrate,
it was the Wolves game on the first game of the season. It was a Sunday against Leicester where Wolves scored, and it was 1 minute and 20 seconds. They'd gone back to the centre circle. The goal had been celebrated, just about to kick off, and then they cancelled a goal. Leicester fans are celebrating the no goal, and I just think it's, you know what I mean, there's got to be a cut off. There's got to be a limit. There's got to be a 30-second limit. If they can't see the error in 30 seconds, then it's got to be given as a goal. You know what I mean? The ref doesn't have a choice to get on with it, because you can't be celebrating going back, and it's just the whole thing's, you know what I mean. I'm all for bringing new things in and making it, you know what I mean, and making it fair, and you know what I mean, and cutting out the proper mistakes. But no, it's not for me. I'd rather have a bit of controversy. You know, how boring would this conversation be if we were just we talk about VAR for the full 45 minutes? It's just a joke. You know what I mean? The whole thing's just got to be common sense, and it's got to prevail. It's got to prevail very soon and very shortly, because it's going to end up killing football.
Absolutely, yeah. It takes everything. It takes the natural raw emotion out of the game, which is the best part of football.
Yeah.
Just lastly on this game, I just want to say Jared Bowen's one of the only strikers. I think he might even be the only striker. They were saying on TalkSport that has scored 20 goals in the Championship last year and is still in the league, whether they've been signed, you know, elsewhere or they've gone back on loan. Now, I would have loved him at Cardiff City. I think would be perfect for what they need. He's a great. I'm a real big fan. You know, he's young, but he's got a great first touch. His vision always seems to have that time on the ball to do what he wants to do.
I think also he seems very level-headed and very sensible, because he's choosing. If there has been interest, who knows? But he's choosing to play regular football week in, week out, and develop as a first-team regular in the Championship, than go and sign for a better club and be in and out or sat on the bench. And you know what I mean? He's learning the hard way, and he's learning the best way by playing games. And you know what I mean? There's not enough players probably like him who you know what I mean, go to a better club and chase more money. You know what I mean? He's happy to play week in, week out. You know what I mean? He's a professional footballer. He'll be earning good money. Of course he will. But you know what I mean? There'll be a lot more money if he did move and go and sit on the bench somewhere else. And that could be a Premier League club or one of the bigger Championship clubs, because players like him and the potential he's got don't come around very often. And I am very surprised, similar to you, Si, that he hasn't moved to a bigger club, because, you know what I mean, Hull need the money. You know what I mean? It's been quite documented that, you know what I mean, they're a selling club, and you know what I mean, they're not in a position probably to turn down a big offers. So maybe he's haven't had any offers for the boy, but you know what I mean, I'm sure certainly in January, if he's banging the goals in like he is at the start of the season, and like he did all last season, that someone is going to take a bit of a risk on him to go to the next level. You know what I mean? Because for A, I think the boy needs it for his own progression, and B, for whoever's football club brings him in, will get guaranteed maybe it's 10 goals for the rest of the season, maybe more if he's in a free scoring side.
Yeah, definitely. When I did the show with ex-Borough winger Alan Moore, we discussed like the importance of playing week in, week out for, say, a championship team, or going to a Premier League team, and then being on the bench, getting 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And because the drop down between the first team and the reserve team now, or the under 23s, is so vast, that even playing for those under 23 sides or the reserve sides every week, it doesn't prepare you for first team football, whether it's first team football in the Championship or first team football in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that's why some of these young players who are coming on loan from Premier League teams who haven't played first team football, they struggle in the Championship at first, even though it's a level down, because it's just first team football is so different and so much more intense.
But I think that's the expectation as well, look, because clubs are looking at these lads from Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and people are expecting them to do well, and rightly so. You know what I mean? I was a young boy. I went on loan at Sheffield United. I went on loan to Bolton Wanderers. You know what I mean? And it's in the Championship, or you know what I mean? And it's a tough learning curve. You're playing against men week in, week out. You're playing against sellout crowds week in, week out, which comes with pressure. And you come with a high expectation because you come from a Premier League side. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because it did my development like a world of good. Because when you do go back to your parent club and you're thrown in the side, that the surroundings are the same. You know what I mean? There's the same crowds there, and there's still 11 players on the pitch with your colour on, and there's nothing changes apart from personnel. And you know what I mean? The big difference when you see teams in the under-23 or the Reserve League or the Premier League 2 or whatever it's called now, that there's no crowd at all. You know what I mean? So they're not playing in proper stadiums, and they're not replicating what they need to do. And you know, when they get thrown into an FA Cup game or a League Cup game, like some teams did last week, midweek, that they let themselves down, and they don't know how to perform on the big stage because they freeze, and then they don't get a chance for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then players don't understand why. And this is the reason why. And unfortunately, you've got to grow up really quickly and learn how to play men's under pressure football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, a little plug, by the way, I done a show with Alan Moore and Graham Kavanagh, Andy Campbell, and Willie Boland as well. So you could check them out by going back through the shows. Anyway, back to it. Bristol City 2, QPR 0.
Bristol City have turned the corner. You know what I mean? It pains me to say a little bit. You know what I mean? That I said at the start of the season, I said QPR struggle. They picked up more points than I thought they would have. They scored more goals than I thought they would have so far. But on Saturday it was men against boys. Some of the chances created by Bristol City were excellent. QPR are not travelling really very well at all, and if teams get at them, they look like they just crumble every time teams go forward at them. Bristol City, they're a different side this year than have past. They've gone down a different route of players. I'm going to have a conversation about one of the incidents which happened in the game later on of my two good and two bad. But when you've got Andreas Weimann up front, you're always going to cause problems. You know what I mean? He's an international class footballer. He's done it at the top level. He's done it at Villa. He's done it at Derby. He's scoring goals all the time. He's creating chances. He's a handful, and he takes the pressure off other people. And he didn't score at the weekend, but he creates chances with other people just by his presence. And you know what I mean? He's the kind of player, the focal point that you need in the team. And the good sides of this league has a player like him in it. And that's why these kind of players are really wanted at these football clubs, because it just takes the pressure off. It means they can play that kind of formation of him up front and three behind who can run left, right, and centre and create vast opportunities for everybody else.
His movement is what creates the space for the likes of I'm going to butcher this poor guy's name now. Nagy, and Afobe and people like this who are going off him because his movement takes everyone, the defenders, away, and because he's so experienced and like you say, he's played at the very top level. If you've got
just
inexperience,
he's not even he's not a big target man, but he plays like a target man.
No.
And he's only small in comparison to some of the other big players, and I thought he was outstanding. You know what I mean? His assist for Afobe's goal. You know what I mean? He was all over the place. He fully deserved his goal. He didn't get it at the weekend, but he deserved more than what he got. But he's on the winning side at the weekend against. For me, it was a poor outfit and a poor performance by QPR. But likewise, we said about Cardiff. You know what I mean? You win your home games, you're comfortable in the league, and you know what I mean. Can QPR be a lot better at home than they will away? I don't think they'll travel well at all because I think they're carrying on from last year and a little bit away from home. And you know what I mean. It was a bit of a disaster away from home for them at the weekend.
Yeah, their defence was poor, for lack of a more polite word, isn't it? So I thought the boy Nagy, actually, who was on loan from Bologna, was very impressive.
Yeah,
his goal was, oof.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Yeah, there's some great goals at the weekend, and you know, I mean, goals of the season contenders already in just the fourth week, and you know, what I mean, Bristol City they'll score a lot of goals. You always do. Lee Johnson has them always at a level which seems to surprise me. You know what I mean? The sole players, but they brought in other players. I thought they were going down a different route. They spent a lot of money, and you just don't know what you're going to get from Bristol City at times. And so far so good for them. He's got them creating goals, creating chances of scoring goals, and on Saturday they kept a clean sheet. So for me, it was a perfect 3 points for them. Yeah,
and they'll fancy it tomorrow. Obviously, we're recording this Tuesday evening.
Yeah,
and they'll fancy that game tomorrow. They're playing tomorrow, aren't they?
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
And they're gonna fancy their chances to pick up more points now. They just need to make sure, I think, they keep it nice and tight to the back. But
well, they brought in players. They brought Callas in for obviously a lot of money. I think it was £7 or £8 million, and you know what I mean. Obviously, that he's noticed the area which they need to fill. You know what I mean. He's brought in Afobe to help Wyman up there. You know what I mean. It was a big signing. You know what I mean. He started the season at Stoke City. He started the first game of the season for Stoke, so that was a big acquisition for them. And you know, I mean, they're going to be up there. Certainly going to be up there by the end of the season, I believe. And it just makes for an enthralling Championship season, because it makes the derby games with Cardiff and Swansea. You know what I mean, and just brings that the excitement, you know what I mean, and another side who was always there, to another level, because you know what I mean, that probably adds 10 teams who can be in and around there by the end of the season.
Yeah, you know, the more big games the better. You know, we love the big ones.
Yeah, of course.
Next up was Luton 1, West Brom 0. West Brom 2. Impressed with Luton, I have been since. So have
I. I think they've got that no fear factor, that they don't care who they're playing against. You know what I mean? They started against Middlesbrough, ripped them apart at times. You know what I mean? Scored comfortably. Scored a very good goal, excellent header at the weekend. And to be fair, going 1-0 in at half time. You know what I mean? Probably the better side. Still created a couple of chances second half, but they're just a mad 3 or 4 minutes cost them with a couple of sloppy goals. You know what I mean? I think both goals could have been avoided. The lad scored 2. I'm probably going to kill his name here.
That's right, guys.
Diagana.
Well done.
He scored a left foot shot outside the box. It was a good strike, but I still think it could have been avoided. And then the second one was a deflected shot, and he dived in with his head. Brave header. From West Brom's point of view, probably 2 very good goals. But for Luton's point of view, I think they won't be happy with the 2 goals that the West Brom scored. But you know, West Brom, they're always going to be up there. You know what I mean? They've got an excellent squad of players. You know what I mean? They'll certainly be there. They've had a solid start of the season. You know what I mean? They're not blowing teams away, but they're obviously unbeaten in 3. They play again tomorrow, and you know what I mean. 7 points from 3 games is a solid start from anybody, and to go away from Luton and to get 3 points, because Luton, like you just said, Si, they're not scared at all. They're not scared to to play against anybody at the minute. They've had a really tough start of the season. They played Cardiff, they played Middlesbrough, they played West Brom. That's got to be the hardest start to any championship season. You know what I mean? And they've ran 3 teams really close. They've been beaten 2-1 twice against West Brom and Cardiff, and obviously drew with Middlesbrough 3-3. So you know what I mean? It's such a tough start for them, but I think they've passed the test with flying colours, and they've given themselves a chance by progressing and staying up, but just with the way that they've gone about things.
Yeah, that no fear factor which they've got. If they can keep that for the rest of the season, because I've been impressed how good they are on the ball. Yeah. They're not just hoofing it up there and trying to intimidate teams and just be in their faces and that sort of thing. It's like they're technically pretty good, and they kept the ball well, and they were quite unlucky. So the super sub, I had him written down. I said Grady, which is his first name, because I wasn't even going to try and pronounce that name. I didn't want to butcher the poor boy's name, but he changed the game when he came on. He did. The goals, like you say, probably could have been avoided, but generally his presence made a big difference for West Brom.
Yeah, but just look at the squad though side as well. You know what I mean? You've got Charlie Austin, you've got Kenneth Sahar, you've got Edwards, you've got Phillips, you've got Jake Livermore. They're just full of, you know what I mean? We spoke about Ferguson, the young right back, first week of the season, his first debut at Notts Forest. Kieran Gibbs, you know what I mean? They're full of so much of experience, and you know what I mean. And if they're not up there, certainly in the playoffs like they've been for the last few years, or even better this year, I'll be extremely surprised. But you know what I mean, they've had a great start of the season, and you know what I mean, I wouldn't be wanting to play them anytime soon.
No. Yeah, and I think Luton got a good chance of staying up as well.
I hope they do, because for me they've come into this championship the same as Barnsley, the same as Charlton, but they just haven't had that rub of the green, or they've played better sides than those two have. Obviously, those two played against each other, so something had to give at the weekend, and they both got themselves a point. So it's difficult for Luton, because they've had such a tough start on paper, but they've given themselves a chance, and hopefully with the confidence, and hopefully the heads aren't getting dropped, because they've had a wonderful start, really.
Yeah. Next up was Millwall 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. It's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, well, I hope this doesn't have an impact on the manager getting the job, because I think, you know what I mean, Sheffield were always going to lose sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? And Lee Bullen, for me, you know what I mean, we spoke about this last week. He should get the job. You know what I mean? He should get the job. He should have got the job after last week's win. You know what I mean? For me, I'd probably give him it more now after losing, because it'll say more for his confidence and how well he's doing. But they're always gonna, you know, they're always gonna lose sooner or later. You know what I mean? Matt Smith scored a good goal off a corner set piece. You know what I mean? It's probably the Matt Smith goal. You know what I mean? Where he rises above people and scores a very good goal. I was probably outraged with the tackle from Jed Wallace.
Yeah,
it wasn't a good tackle at all. And to be fair, I was shocked he didn't get a straight red. He got a second yellow.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Well, you know, he should have got a straight red. But you know what I mean. It was a bad tackle. And you know what I mean. It was a reaction for me. You do a bad tackle, you accept it, and that's it. But he stood there reprimanding with the referee that why he's getting a red card, and for me it was a shocking tackle and fully deserved of a red.
Yeah, it was really bad tackle actually. Millwall went down to 10 through that tackle just after they'd gone 1 up, which obviously that meant it was, you know, Millwall's difficult enough when you go to the Den or the new Den. It's hard enough to go there and get, you know, pick up points, but when you go 1-0 down and then they go down to 10 men, I think it can make it harder, because they just get all the men behind the ball. You know, Matt Smith was what a signing he was, because he was exactly what they needed to, you know, just to lead from the front. He's excellent, and he's like an out ball for them all the time.
Yeah, all the time. And thing is, you look at the Kennedy Sahars who go for big money. Why for me is he not probably playing for a better side in the Championship, because he's got that X factor to come off the bench and do that, because he's an experienced Championship player. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. You know what I mean? If you want him to hold the ball up and you're winning 1-0, he'll do that job. If you need a goal, you put the ball in the box. You know what I mean? He's better than sticking a 6'5" centre half going forward. You know what I mean? Because he obviously knows where the goal is, and he's experienced enough, and he's wore the t-shirt, and he's certainly shown his worth for Millwall at the start of the season, because he's gained them already probably 4 points himself.
So, little question for you then. What's it like, or what's the difference from a playing point of view for a caretaker manager compared to like a permanent one? Does it make a difference to the players?
Not really. I think as a player, I think you want to do well because you believe that manager is going to get the job, and if he does get the job, he's going to continue to play you. And if he doesn't get the job, the manager could be sat in the stands who's watching you anyway. So as a player, you've always got to do well. You know what I mean? And to be fair, it opens a door for you if you haven't been playing, because everyone supposedly gets a fresh start. And you know what I mean? And Lee Bullen, he's come in with his own ideas, and I think he's done a great job. And I'm probably frustrated for him that he's not been given the job on a full-time basis as yet. And you know what I mean? I don't see what the hold-up is, because what they're waiting for a manager to come available. Are they waiting for him to lose another game? I don't get it. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? It's frustrating because, you know what I mean, if they do lose another game, he doesn't get it. You know what I mean? If he wins another game, does he get it? It's what they're waiting for. You know what I mean? Make a quick decision. Give a young manager another opportunity to succeed. And if it doesn't work after 12, 15 games, you can put it in his contract anywhere that you don't have to pay him off, and it doesn't cost you anything as a football club. So, you know what I mean? It gives somebody an opportunity to succeed in something that he's good at, because he's obviously very good, and he's got the respect of the players, because he's getting the best out of a bunch of players so far who I certainly didn't expect after what happened in the summer with Steve Bruce and leaving, and you know what I mean. And he's turned that football club around. I just hope they're not using him as a stopgap for somebody else.
Well, he's done it before, hasn't he? He's done the caretaker role for them before.
I just think now is the right time.
He deserves a chance, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear actually from Sheffield Wednesday fans what they, if they are behind him, if they think he should be given a chance, or if they,
or if not, who do they want in? Who do they want as their manager? Because for me, off the top of my head, I couldn't pick someone who I'd want to take over that football club, or you know what I mean. They've been stung a little bit over the past couple of years with Steve Bruce and stuff. So you know what I mean. Do they want someone who loves the club, or do they want someone to come in who's using them as a stepping stone? For me, it's a no-brainer. But
yep, Sheffield Wednesday fans, tell us, Lee Bullen or someone else. Next up was Forest 3, Birmingham 0. And I thought this was one of the best team performances I've seen.
Performance of the week, 100%. You know what I mean? How Nottingham Forest only beat Birmingham City 3-0 is beyond me. You know what I mean? Some of the chances, what was missed. Lewis Grabbin missed some frightening chances. You know what I mean? He's a very good player. He's obviously cost £5 million when he signed from Norwich last season, but he missed some absolute sitters. You know what I mean? And he scored one, but 3-0 going on 6-7 easily. Birmingham were outplayed. You know what I mean? Lolly got the early goal, very good strike. Grabbin got the second one, very good goal. Second half was an onslaught again. They missed some absolute sitters. And then it was pleasing to see Michael Dawson get a goal, because he's gone back to the side where he started, where it all obviously started really rosy for him before he got his moves and stuff. And he scored a very good goal off a corner and celebrated like he did probably when he was a 16, 17-year-old lad. And you know what I mean, it's so pleasing to see that he's still got that enthusiasm. You know what I mean, because there's a lot of young footballers now, and to see an experienced player still have the passion to do well and do it week in, week out in the Championship, which is a tough division with games thick and fast. And you know what I mean, you're playing 50, maybe 60 games if you do well in the cups and stuff. It's a grueling ask. And you know what I mean, so far he's certainly standing up to the expectations. And if I said about Forest being my the bit of copycat of Wolves and creating chances, if they play like they did on Saturday, you know what I mean, they're going to be the team to watch, because you know what I mean, they remind me a little bit of Wolves when they're in the Championship. They just attacked, and you know what I mean. But Wolves just had a little bit more quality going forward in the final third. But you know what I mean, you can't take away that some of the chances what they created for especially for grabbing. You know what I mean? And they had Amiobi on one side, Adoma came on, Albert Adoma, and they're just inundated with good players going forward. And you know what I mean? I'm probably not so sure about them in defence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But when an away side though doesn't set up to attack you and to cause you many problems, like Birmingham didn't. You know what I mean? And you're in the ascendancy straight away, and you can just pepper the goal, and sooner or later you're gonna smash the door down, and then you can pick up as many goals as you want.
Yeah, Birmingham didn't. They offered very, 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 very little going forward. It was almost like they weren't really trying to score. I thought one player who really stuck out for me actually was Joe Lolly for Nottingham Forest. I thought he was really, really good. Scored a great goal, and his crossing is superb. It's really, really good. I was very, very impressed with it. Yeah. Next up, we got Stoke 2, Derby 2. I thought this was a fantastic game.
Yeah, another game which is just full of good footballers, full of, you know what I mean. I think Philip Cocu's slowly starting to get his style of play through. Played some great football, scored some great team goals. I loved the first goal. You know what I mean? It was amazing, pass into Wagon, and you know what I mean. The finish was just outstanding with his left foot. You know what I mean? Got in front of his defender, and you know what I mean. A hard technique to do, and you know what I mean. The lad's outstanding. Scored 2, should have got his hat trick. The easiest chance he missed towards the end of the game. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know years ago when Derby signed him last season. Middlesbrough tried to buy him, you know what I mean, £5 million, and everyone was saying how much of how overrated or how expensive he was. You know what I mean, £5 million for a centre forward to get you into the Championship Show is an absolute snip. And you know what I mean, for me, he's a experienced pro at that level, and he's always going to get goals, and he leads the line. He's technically very good. You know what I mean, he's all left foot, but nobody seems to stop him doing what he wants to do. And some of the goals he scores are outstanding. And, you know what I mean, on Saturday was no different. He got off to a great start. He probably took one of the worst penalties I've seen, but still put it in the centre of the goal. But you know what I mean. You can only score past the goalkeeper. You know what I mean. Jack Butland dived one way and he rolled it down the middle. It's one of those things. But I'm still confused with Stoke. I'll be honest. You know what I mean. They've got on paper that they're excellent. Got some excellent Championship players. They've got some creativity in there. They've obviously got Ince. You've got Hogan. You've got Gregory. You've got Lucas. Going forward, they're going to score. They're going to score goals. They're going to score goals. But defensively, they're so inept at the minute. They're letting goal in after goal in. You know what I mean? They've got England's potential number one in goal, and you know what I mean. It's 2-2. They got beat 3-1 at Charlton last Saturday. Got beat 2-1 in the first game. You know what I mean? So it's the need to stop the goals going in, because you know what I mean. You score 2 goals at home on a Saturday afternoon. You expect to win the football match. You know what I mean? You shouldn't need to score 3, 4, and 5 to win a game. And at the minute, Stoke are causing their own problems by the goals they're giving away. Granted, there was probably no mistake this week by Jack Butland, so I'm not going to give him any stick for the first week in the Championship. But they're still letting goals in, and that's got to stop for them to be successful, and for the manager to get what he wants. They've got to start keeping clean sheets, and because they're always going to score goals. You know what I mean? You've got James McLean on one side. Lucas is from Hull City. You got Hogan on loan from Villa. You know, they're a very good side. Gregory scored goals for Millwall, quite a lot of them, and they've certainly got goals and assists in the side. You know what I mean? Ince scored a world class goal last week, and certainly got that in the locker. But defensively, they look all over the place.
I thought Stoke were much, much better this week.
Yeah.
And I thought there was signs maybe that they're getting it together a bit. They showed a good mentality. Obviously, conceding so early, it's difficult to come back and get your head together, particularly when you haven't started the season very well. So I thought they did quite well for that. Joe Allen missed from 3 yards.
Shocker.
Got to score that. Ince hit the bar as well from like 10 yards out. Pretty much not an open goal, but something he should just be stroking away and should be a goal. I'm going to defend Jack Butland a little bit. He has been not very good in the last few games, but as a father of a goalkeeper, I thought for this game he looked fully focused. He looked sharp after a rocky start to the season. And I also
made some good stops. And
penalty he should have saved because it was a poor penalty. But the Waghorn one for the hat trick where he tries to dink it over him is actually that's a really good save.
That's a great save. He didn't go down. He kept his concentration, and you know what I mean. Waghorn's full of confidence, and you know what I mean. Should he have scored it? Should he have scored it?
Should have just stroked
it. It's a difficult one. He tried to chip it over him, but Jack Butland, he made a good save, and you know what I mean. And he showed his class there. He showed his class for sure.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Because Waghorn's got 2 goals. He's full of confidence, so he's gone for the dink. Whereas perhaps if he hadn't scored the 2 goals previously, earlier in the game, he's probably just stroking now with his left foot into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
And obviously that wins. That's 3 points then, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think we could go on about a couple of missed chances and things, and will these points come back to haunt certain teams come the end of the season with the playoffs? Because there's going to be the points difference and the margins are going to be so slight, you know what I mean? And you can look back to 5 games ago, you can look back to the first game of the season, you know what I mean? These kind of things can come back and bite you on the backside, and you know what I mean? Waghorn, you know what I mean? If he keeps going the way he's going to score 25, 30 goals this season. But the difference is that 1 goal could have cost them, and it could have got them an extra 2 points on the board.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got last 3 games now. We've got Swansea 3, Preston 2.
Preston have surprised me, Si. We spoke about
I
the
said
start of the season.
Down, didn't I?
Well, so did I. I think we both said they were going to struggle. You know what I mean? And they're giving themselves they're creating chances of scoring goals. They scored a very good goal. Rafferty scored a good goal to start the game. Johnson scored a penalty. It was a definite penalty. But defensively, they looked all over the place. Every time Swansea went forward, they looked like they were going to score, and especially in the second half. You know what I mean? They scored a perfect time in the first half, right on the whistle. Obviously, it changes the dynamics of the game. It changes the team talks of both managers. You know what I mean? Swansea in the ascendancy straight away coming up the second half, and you know what I mean. It showed that, you know what I mean. They obviously didn't play great. Got a goal just before half time. Makes a substitution. Substitution comes on, scores. Byers, and then Baston gets a second goal. You know what I mean? Which turns out to be the winning goal after Johnson's penalty. And you know what I mean? Swansea creating chances, playing some good football, scoring goals. They've got back to that Swansea City way of playing, which pains me to say, but they are playing some unbelievable football again. And you know what I mean? That's just the way they play football. And in the Championship, notoriously, it doesn't work because teams can upset you. And I don't think it'll work week in, week out against some of the bigger, stronger teams. But against the side like Preston, they picked them off, and they picked them off in decent areas, and they got in behind them in decent places, put balls in the box, and some of the finishes were outstanding. And you know what I mean, fully deserved the 3 points. You know what I mean, it was probably closer. The scoreline's closer than what it should have been. And but they've started the season, Swansea, stronger than I thought. They're unbeaten, scoring goals, but also shipping goals as well at the other end. So
I think their biggest problem, actually, you know, they should have beaten Preston, and like you say, it was closer than what it should have been, 3-2. You know, and I think they are playing going forward. They look great. They're really playing some great stuff, but they are shipping out goals. And you know, if Preston are scoring 2 and running them close, they come up against a Leeds, a Derby, even Reading. Reading picked Cardiff off. You know, they could.
Well, a West Brom, a good for me, a good side who has good shape and settles, upsets them. You know what I mean? That are Swansea now good enough to break them down? A good side, I'd probably say no. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You've lost your best players. You know what I mean? You haven't got the creativity that you used to have last season or the seasons before in the Premier League. So, you know what I mean? You're asking a lot from those individuals. You know what I mean? And I think the longer the season goes, because there's a lot more stronger sides out there than Preston North End. So, you know what I mean? When you beat Swansea, when you're only beating them 3-2 and it should have been more, you know what I mean? I go back to the Nottingham Forest game. If Nottingham Forest were playing Preston with some of the chances which they created, they would have probably picked them off 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? And that's the difference, I think, sometimes between football clubs. And this isn't me being with my blue hat on and being negative towards Swansea City. I've just said that the football they're playing is outstanding. My concern with them is when they play against better sides. You know what I mean? Play against better sides, can they pick them off? And that's the biggest test for me, because beating poor sides by 1 goal should be more. You know what I mean? Is the difference. But they picked 3 points up and they've got 7 points from 3. So you know what I mean? I can't be ultra critical on them because they've had a better start than a lot of teams in the league.
Yeah, they've had a good start. Who's their centre? Who's the Swansea centre backs?
Swansea centre halves at the minute. They've got Joe Rondon. Is one of them, young boy, 20
See,
early
I was thinking
20s.
when I was watching them.
And they've got the is it the Dutch lad Van der Hoorn?
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So when I was watching the highlights, one thing which sort of stuck out to me was that they looked like they needed almost like a centre back, a leader, or someone who's going to take charge and get the ball away quicker, or get the shape. Because I did feel they just looked vulnerable at the back.
Yeah. Well, I looked at the penalty side. You know what I mean? The penalty one made it 2-2. You know what I mean? They've turned the game around. They're 2-1 up, and the penalty is such a soft penalty, but it's a blatant penalty. You know what I mean? You leave your foot in the box, you're asking for trouble. You know what I mean? If that's a bit of nice, I don't know what it was. You know what I mean? Stupidity. It's just a little bit naive. Whatever it was just it's just stupidity at that stage of the game because. You know what I mean? You've just got yourself ahead. You know what I mean? You're not playing against a great side, but you're giving a team a footing in the game, and against a good side, the team then goes on to beat you instead of you comfortably going and getting that third goal. And we spoke about teams who get that second and third goal, like Reading did. Then it's hard to make up the difference because teams like Swansea would be able to pick it off with the gaps. And you know what I mean? I think that's the difference between good sides and the lesser sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Wigan 0, Leeds 2. Wigan at home still haven't defended like they did versus Cardiff on the opening day.
I'm baffled with this first game of the season. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened to Wigan since the first game of the season. I was so intrigued to see how they would have done. You know what I mean? Because the start of the season, excellently scored three goals, you know what I mean, got himself to turn the game around, and I thought, they're going to be a decent side. Ever since that game, they're just falling to pieces. You know what I mean? They played against a strong Leeds side. Obviously, they went down to 10 men within the first 20 minutes. 2 yellow cards from Williams, and you know what I mean. Leeds, you don't give Leeds any kind of advantage like that because they just pick you off. We spoke about Paddy Bamford and the chances he missed last weekend against Forest, and this weekend he goes and picks two goals off, and he gets chances. The problem he's got, Paddy, is his composure and the chances he misses. But you know what I mean. He started the season. He scored 3 goals. Probably should have had 5 in his first three, but he scored 3 and 3. And you know what I mean. Leeds have started like a house on fire, and it pains me to say, you know what I mean, for all the stick I get on Twitter, but they'll certainly be up there. You know what I mean? And I've got no doubt about that. They've got some excellent players going forward. I love Hernandez. I think he's absolutely outstanding. You know what I mean? He makes a difference from out wide, from in behind Bamford. You mentioned last week centre midfielder is a Cleach, and he's again outstanding. You got Harrison, you got Forshaw. They're just full of very good players, and you know what I mean. I don't see them faltering at the minute. I don't see, you know what I mean. I don't see Leeds are a little bit like a train, and they're going to be hard to stop. You know what I mean. They've got the backing of the supporters. We go on about their manager all the time. You know what I mean. Bielsa's just an excellent manager, and it's only a matter of time until they do get where they want to get. And for me, you know what I mean, I think it does pain me to say this, you know what I mean, and it is early doors, but I do believe this season will be their season. I can't believe I said that, but
yeah, it's that's going to come back to haunt you, mate.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so, because then if it doesn't, I can't lose. Can I?
Now the boy Glick in the middle of midfield, he's a Rolls Royce player, mate. I love him. The way he plays, he just controls everything. Just pulling the strings, takes the ball off the defenders, takes the ball off, and everything goes through him. And he's got the quality to run the game. And then like you say, got Hernandez. I was impressed with Bamford because he is a young man, and he missed, I think, 5 chances we counted with it last week, or 4, which were clear-cut, chances he should have scored. So, it takes broad shoulders to take that criticism, take it. He would have thought about those chances. He would have replayed them in his mind over the week and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
it's a long week as a centre forward when you're missing chances and that. You know what I mean? Been there, wore the t-shirt. You know what I mean? But he's an excellent footballer. You know what I mean? I watched him at Middlesbrough week in, week out. He's had an upbringing. You know what I mean? For Chelsea, you know what I mean? He's been there years. He's played with world-class footballers. You know what I mean? So he's certainly got an excellent pedigree, and you know what I mean. And he deserves to be playing at the top level or giving it a go. And if he continues scoring goals like he is, then he's going to take Leeds all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I was very critical of him last week because I did feel that if he was going to be their number 9 for the season and they were going to go up, he would need to improve. And I thought his
rightly so.
His all-round game was better though as well.
Yeah.
I think not just the 2 goals he scored with proper centre forward goals. One of them was a bit, really scrappy in the 6-yard box, but he scored the chance. He was there. Yeah. But I thought his overall play, he made the right runs. His movement was good. He didn't hide,
No.
And dare I say this, over the years, strikers can hide if they're
100%.
Struggling for
people speak
chances.
About being brave, Si. You know what I mean? And being brave is wanting to miss chances. I'll use Andy Cole as an example. Andy Cole missed more chances than he scored, but he was so brave to get in those positions and want to miss chances because he knew he would get his goals, and you know what I mean. And he had a notoriously bad reputation, Andy Cole, of missing chances. But I would have him on my team 100% because he scores goals and he was a natural born goal scorer. But you know what I mean. You have to be in it to win it, and Paddy's given himself an opportunity. He's leading the line as a young. He's still a young boy. He's a young player, and to be doing that at a big club such as Leeds, then you know what I mean. They're gonna cause a few teams a problem this season.
Spot on, mate. We're spot on with Andy Cole as well. Like, if you said to young players like Bamford at the start of their career, we'll give you Andy Cole's record at the end of your career, they're going to snap their hands off for it because he had an unbelievable record. And if you look at his goals scored and stuff, but you're right, he missed loads of chances every game, but he also was there, brave, getting in there for the for the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, final game. Huddersfield 1, Fulham 2. I will hand this over to you.
Yeah, well, I was disappointed on Friday because, the first half especially, I thought Huddersfield were excellent. You know what I mean? It was interesting. I watched the full game. I watched the interviews after, and Scotty Parker's interview about Fulham dominating the game was a little bit untrue for me because I thought, especially first half, I thought Huddersfield were excellent. I thought they created chances. They got wide of Fulham. You know what I mean? How they didn't go in at half time ahead must have been so disappointing for them. But they deserve to get a little bit more out of the game than what they did. But you can't only play well for half a game. And you know what I mean? It came out the second half. You know what I mean? Obviously, Scotty Parker said something at half time. His team came out looking fresh. He'd made a couple of tactical changes, kept the same personnel. And fully deserved to win the game with the second half performance. You know what I mean? It was such a disappointing evening for Huddersfield, big football club, and then for the manager, to get the sack is just it's disastrous. You know, it's such a shame because how a man who's worked all summer to watch games, to get in players, to work on certain things, to be given the sack after 3 games is just. It's just so wrong, you know what I mean? I know the club weren't happy about being knocked out with the Carling Cup or the cup, the midweek cup game by Coca-Cola Cup, the Rumbelows Cup, whatever you want to call it, by Lincoln City. But that's not. He didn't see that as a priority, and a lot of other teams did exactly the same. And you know what I mean? To get beat by Fulham and lose his job, you know what I mean? Fulham are going to be one of the teams to beat in the league. So just for me, it makes a mockery of the Championship getting rid of a manager like that because we've just spoke about it earlier. Whoever he brings in now, the chairman of Huddersfield Town, if he loses the first 5-6 games, he has to sack him. He has to because he's now set a precedent of I've sacked the manager, so I'll have to do it again. You know what I mean? Huddersfield got 1 point out of 3, so if that manager doesn't beat 1 point out of 3, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? You know for a fact Huddersfield are going to win the next game. Mark Hudson's the new caretaker manager. I don't know if he'll be in charge at the weekend or this week, but for tomorrow. But they're bound to win because caretaker managers always seem to do well and get things off to a good start. I hope they don't win because obviously they're playing Cardiff City. But you know what I mean. I think it's a bad decision. But people live and die by those decisions, unfortunately. But I will say the standard of some of the goals in you know, I mean, the header from Grant for Huddersfield was excellent. You know what I mean? They used it wasn't VAR, but they used goal line technology for that game. And the winning goal for Cavaliero for Huddersfield. You know what I mean? They've obviously brought him in for that reason only. You know what I mean? He's come from Wolves, can't play him week in, week out. He's dropped out in the Championship to play regular football, which is fantastic to see. Makes the league even better. But those kind of players are the difference between getting promoted and getting in the playoffs or just missing out, because you know what I mean, the teams who will miss out are the teams who haven't been prepared to go to that next level and bring in the players like Anthony Knockaert and Cavaliero and Mitrovic, you know what I mean? Because they're Harry Arter, you know what I mean? There can't be a better team on paper than Fulham's and Tom Kearney. Yeah, they're just, you know what I mean? If they can go on and run, you know what I mean? There'll be some team will have to play well to catch and stop them from achieving what they want to achieve this year.
Yeah, I think if anyone is going to run away with the league, like, you know, Newcastle or Sunderland did in the past, it's going to be Fulham or Leeds or both. I don't really see anyone else running away with it, but Fulham have almost got two teams of, you know, 2 11s of quality players. So they got so many good players, and then they've got on top of the good players, they've got these, you know, Premier League players who are dropping down to play, like your Mitrovic and your Harry Arters. They're Premier League players.
Yeah, should be Premier League players. We spoke about this in the summer. That, you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't have to bring a player in. Sometimes you just got to be a little bit bold and keep the players that you've got. It's a bigger statement than bringing and selling. They could have sold Mitrovic for £20 million, and you could have brought in 4 players for £5 million, which would have made good business sense. You've got some good players coming through the door. But for me, they've made a bigger statement by keeping hold of him. You might not be able to keep hold of him for the full season, but by Christmas you could be top of the league by 10 points, and then he has to stay because he's going to be a Premier League player in 6 months. So you know, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, he could have 20 goals by Christmas, couldn't he? You know,
too right, he could be. Yeah, the way he's playing, the way he's starting.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about the Huddersfield manager being sacked, I just think it's piss poor. I just think it's disgusting. I think it leaves a real sour taste in the mouth. And let's be honest, like, I don't give two hoots about whether, you know, Huddersfield win or lose. But I just think it just looks crap for everyone concerned.
Yeah, I understand people are frustrated. They've came down from the Premier League.
They've been bad. They have been bad. And like, I have to say, when I was watching them, not this last game, the game before, I was thinking, I think I might have mentioned it actually last week, that if they don't get a handle on it, they could go straight down, because they were that bad.
I think that's what the chairman's thinking. I think he's gone with his gut and thought we need to change things straight away because we're in a hole here and we're not going to get out of it. And you know what I mean, it's a losing mentality, losing spiral. And he's done the call for the best of the football club, and I understand that. I do. I seriously do understand it. My frustration is I feel horrible for the manager who's lost his job after 3 games. You know what I mean? Because are we gonna? That's got to be one of the earliest sackings in history. Because what's next? Somebody losing the first game of the season and getting sacked. It's just. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? It's just, for me. You've got to give. I don't know, 10, at least 10. I can't put a number on it. Even after 10 games, I'd probably still think it was harsh, unless you lose all 10.
20, 25 games for me.
Yeah.
I always think if you're not going to give a manager a full season to try and embed what they want to do with your football club and their vision for the team and their everything, what's the point in putting them in there in the first place? Because
exactly.
Unless they're losing every single game and getting stuffed, and there's players are arguing and all this type of stuff. If it's just generally they're not where you want them to be as an owner, then you should be giving them at least a season. I don't understand the logic of not doing it.
But then I look at the other side. Why is he giving him the summer? Why is he giving him the summer to prepare for the season? Why not give a new manager a full summer to bring his own players in, to implement his own pre-season, to give himself a good opportunity? Because whoever takes that job now is still working with the same players, is still working with the same confidence levels as the previous manager's gone. You know what I mean? The window's shut. You know what I mean? So what chance has a new manager got? He's got zero chance to succeed. You know what I mean? He can plan towards January. He can try and stabilise the club, but stability for a club who's just come down from the Premier League is not, I'm guessing, what that football club wants. That football club wanted and expected to go back up.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And the fans probably expected it. You know what I mean? The parachute money, they still have got the Premier League money. So that football club expected to go back up, and they've got absolutely no chance on what I'm watching. You know what I mean? No. So, and whoever they bring in as a manager, it's still got to work with the same kind of players. And the same kind of players that I saw on Friday night, especially second half, they're certainly not good enough to get anywhere near the playoffs or the top 10 or anywhere near that.
No, from a personal point of view and Cardiff point of view, I'd love to see Mark Hudson get a go. If he can get a couple of results after Cardiff beat him tomorrow.
I hope he does well on Saturday after they get smashed tomorrow. That'll be that.
Absolutely. But so okay. Next up, we got 2 up, 2 down. So 2 up, 2 down is where myself and Andy, we pick 2 big performances, moments or players, and 2 nightmares for the weekend. So let's start with the ups this week, mate. What you got for the first one?
I've gone for Puskas for Reading. His 2 goals, especially his first one. You know what I mean? I know we spoke about probably the inept defending and things that could be avoided, but his first goal in particular, cut inside. His second goal, he cut across the defender. You know what I mean? He should have had his hat-trick. You know what I mean? So as an attacking player, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to seeing him again and again and see if he can replicate this, because I'd be disappointed if he can't, because you know what I mean? He's done it against one of the best defenders and defenses in the league. So if he can do it to Cardiff, he can do it to each and every team. And so he's my first one.
Yeah. So I had was kind of trying to decide between him and Patrick Bamford, and I actually went for Patrick Bamford because I was very critical of him last week.
I feel that.
He missed a bag full of chances last week, as we said, but I thought, and I said last week, he's got to improve if he wants to be Leeds' number 9. Straight away next week, he was working hard. His movement was good. He didn't shy away from the ball, and he's picked up 2 goals, and he's won in the game. Yeah. And I think that shows tremendous mentality, maturity for a young guy. Yeah. Come back and not let it affect him, and he played really well. So I gave 1 to him. Okay. And who was your second one, mate?
My second one was Calabriero with his wonder goal for Fulham against Huddersfield. You know what I mean? I spoke there about the difference about having that X factor player and having someone to give the ball to in dangerous areas and score a goal. You know what I mean? He didn't have the best of games, but to score a goal like that and to get Fulham the extra 2 points, which is the difference between their strong start to the season. You know what I mean? So just for the ability and the goal alone, because I thought it was excellent. He cut in from the left and just bent it. When he hit it straight away, like the words "goal" just muttered from my mouth. And you know what I mean? I love players who get me on the edge of my seat. And you know what I mean? They've got knockout on one side and him on the other. You know what I mean? So this week he got my nod.
Yeah, so I had Joe Lolly from Forest, just because I felt like he scored a great goal. His overall performance was excellent, but he's very skillful, used the ball well. But his crossing for the goal and he had the assist. But I thought his crossing was absolutely sublime. Really was impressed by his crossing. Interesting, so just a bit different.
Yeah.
And for a 2 down. Go on, you go first for the first one.
I've gone for a Welsh boy. I've gone for Joe Allen's shocking miss against Derby. Right. When I seen it and they said Allen, I was it can't be Joe. No way, it can't be Joe. And you know what I mean? If you haven't seen it, have a little look at it. It's all over Sky Sports at the minute. It's all over YouTube. You know what I mean? It's probably harder to do what he's done than put it in the net. And you know what I mean? You see his reaction when the rebound didn't go in. You know what I mean? He was absolutely horror-struck. And you know what I mean? He's such a good, talented gifted footballer. So for how good he was, to miss a chance like that, you know what I mean? I was, I couldn't ignore it. Couldn't ignore it.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I've gone for the same one as well. I see. In the summer, I said that Man United should try and get Joe Allen on loan until the end of the season, till they could sign a young holding midfielder, because Matic is so slow on the ball. Like he does his job, but he slows the game down. And I felt like Joe Allen would be a good option for him just for one season, because he can move the ball quite quick. He's decent enough on the ball. So I thought I'd slip that in before I slaughtered him for missing, like a terrible chance, as you just said.
No, but we just spoke about this, haven't we? I spoke about teams don't need to bring players in; they just need to make a statement by keeping players. And to keep someone like Joe in their side is a massive statement for the football club. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm sure when he smashes one in from 25 yards to the week, or next Saturday we can get the applaudis back on him. He's an excellent footballer. So
yeah, he is really, really good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I was going to say. So when he missed this goal, it's Joe Allen from Swansea. Don't forget that. But when he smashes one in from 25 yards, it's Welshman Joe Allen. Yeah, don't forget that. Yeah. And so for your second down.
My second down, I've praised him during the show, Andreas Weimann, for his deliberate handball for the goal he scored, because I just don't think there's any room for something like that in the game, and you know what I mean. And I run about diving, run about cheating, run about Sean Dyche has been going on about it, especially in the Premier League, and I just think, how do you reprimand people? How do you stop it? You know what I mean? Because a yellow card for somebody scoring a deliberate handball, there's no need for him to do it. You're winning the game 2-0. You've got 5 or 6 minutes to go, and he goes and does what he does. And I just think it's just a ridiculous act of sportsmanship I've ever seen. And you know what I mean? For such a talented guy and such a talented footballer, we've given him so many plaudits on the show. So you know what I mean? I think it's only right that I pick up on something that he didn't do so well, and you know what I mean? He needs to cut things like that out, because he's too good to be doing stuff like that. Because you know what I mean, I couldn't ignore it when I seen it, because you know what I mean. He has such a good game, and then potentially, if the rules are different and you get a straight red card for doing it, his whole game's ruined just for an act of stupidity.
Well, no, it's a good one. So. I'm really happy to say that we got no goalkeepers in it for the first week. I've gone for Jed Wallace just for that tackle. I thought it was nasty. I thought it was high.
Agree.
Very, very easily could have been a leg breaker.
Certainly.
So that's short and simple. And it's first week where we've got no keepers in the downs, which is good.
Yeah, which is pleasing. Yeah,
we were much better this week. And just to finish off, we've got a barrage of questions this week. So we go to the Q&A. Okay, and so first question from Pete Watson. He says, Andy, not including Steve Todd, who was the worst manager you played under?
This is a bit of a spoof one, because obviously I've just packed in playing. Steve was my manager, and he's a very good friend of mine. So he obviously wants me to slaughter him and slag him off. But worst manager, I've never hidden the fact that me and Dave Jones have never got on in Cardiff for various reasons. Me and Steve McLaren at times at Middlesbrough didn't get on, so it's probably a little battle out of the two of them. But it was not a personal thing. It's just the same as in any industry. You don't get on with your manager, you don't see eye to eye. There's obviously never going to be chemistry there, and I wouldn't say they were bad managers. Obviously not. They've both been very successful in the one's been England manager, one's been promoted and won trophies for Cardiff. So it's just a thing personal to me.
Yeah, so almost like your worst experience.
Yeah, because I've got I only worked under both of them for a couple of years. Well, Dave was 1 year, Steve was probably less than a year, so it wasn't, you know what I mean. And it's not sour grapes that Steve McLaren sold me to Cardiff, and then Dave Jones didn't want me. It does sound like sour grapes, but it's not. It's just they didn't like me. I didn't really get on with them, and it's one of the things that I'm not bitter towards them, and I hope they're not bitter towards me.
Cool. And next up was Stokesley SCFC says, who's the best player in the Championship in your opinion?
Oh, this is a difficult one. This, because we spoke about Bradley Dax and teams and Lee Tomlins and people who create. You know what I mean? But there's always. We just spoke about there, Joe Allen. I've spoken about the player I'm going to mention now. But for me, you make big statements by keeping big players, and for me, Mitrovic is the best player in the Championship. You know what I mean? He's an international class footballer. He scored goals in the Premier League. He scores at international level. You know what I mean? So for him to be in the Championship is outstanding, and I'm so excited to see him play live when I get the opportunity, because these kind of players don't come in the Championship week in, week out, and in the past, team players like this would rather go and sit on the bench in the Premier League. So for me, it's Alexander Mitrovic.
Good shout. Okay. Sorry, I just read the next question. Kellet on Twitter, Kellet_J asks, why do you love Leeds so much?
Why do I love Leeds so much? I think it's like I think it's a hate relationship that with being a Middlesbrough fan and then a Cardiff City player, you know what I mean. The hatred has probably grown with me. They hate me, you know what I mean. They're so easily wound up. It's so easy. It's scary. So, you know what I mean. I don't think I totally respect Leeds United. You know what I mean. They're a massive club. You know what I mean. Maybe it's a little bit of jealousy. You know what I mean. They've been in the Champions League. They've had world class footballers. They've achieved quite a lot of things in their history. You know what I mean. So. It's all done in good humour, you know what I mean. I would not say that I really hate them, you know what I mean. Part of me wishes that my football clubs were run like Leeds United at the minute, and they were playing expansive football, and they had some of the players that they have, and they sell out like Leeds United sell out week in, week out, and they have the following that Leeds have. But you know what I mean. It's all done in jest most of the time, and there's only a few serious comments. But you know what I mean. We speak about it all the time, and you know what I mean. We give credit where credit's due, like we did today about Paddy Bamford, and about Hernandez, and about other top performers from the weekend. So I think also credit's due to us for picking out the good things as well. Absolutely,
no bias here.
Nope.
Okay. It's the end of this. I hate the word, but it's it's just a bit banter, isn't it? I hate that word though. So
yeah.
So regular contributor Johnny Wishbone says, how would you rid us of diving? He said he doesn't mean going down under contact. He means like looking for the contact or going down when there isn't any contact at all. And he said he's seen it a couple of times in the Championship recently.
Yeah, well, I think this was my point with Sean Dyche there. Sean Dyche has said that he went to a manager's meeting and people said, do you get a yellow card? So, you know what I mean, you can dive 5 times before you get punished, before you get a ban. The only way for me that you in the Championship, it's hard because the referee's making a split decision. You know what I mean? If it's looked at the next day or through the week and you're found to be guilty of it, for me, you get a suspension the next game. You're not allowed to play the next game, because the only way to do it is by punishing players and punishing clubs and punishing the act. You know what I mean? The act is a cheating act. You know what I mean? It's deliberate handball, trying to score a goal like Maradona, like Wyman did at the weekend, and diving to earn yourself and earn your team a penalty. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that it's happening, and it's happening more often. But when people are getting away with it, we're going to keep on talking about it. I'm going to talk about it more and more. You know what I mean? It would be really interesting to start talking about Weinman getting a 3-match ban for deliberate handball, because I bet he doesn't do it again, because he'll probably get fined 2 weeks' wages. Bristol City might lose 3 games while he's not there. I'm guessing his manager will be absolutely fuming with him that he's he's cost his team, you know what I mean, and he's cost, you know what I mean. These things have got to be put in place because, you know what I mean. But like Sean Dyche said about deliberate diving, and you know what I mean, that you get a yellow card so you can dive 5 times before you get punished. It's ridiculous, you know what I mean. I watched the Man United game yesterday, and Daniel James got a yellow card. He got. For me, he didn't dive. You know what I mean? He's going at 300 mile an hour. You know what I mean? There might have been slight contact. It does look like he's gone down a little bit easy, but you see it on the videos again. He's cut across a player who's trying to get out the way. He's not looking for the contact, but it does look sometimes that he has dived, and it's such a grey area that how they're gonna guarantee that that's the case. You could send someone off in the game and then change your mind on the Sunday, but then you've already punished the player and they punished the club, and the team's got beat. So you've got to be very careful and very very mindful of punishments during the game. I think it needs to be done after, and then punish the player with a suspension. So that's what I would do. Yeah,
I kind of agree with that. That if you've got referees going looking for diving all the time, one is going to create. You're going to get teams where people are going to get sent off for diving when they haven't dived because it looks like they have, and it's going to cost people points. Whereas if you go into it afterwards, you can look at it, and it's those ones where there's no contact at all. They're the ones which I want to get rid of myself because I feel like they're like this just cheating. You know, like if you're a striker in your box and you feel contact and you go down, right? I think that's fair enough. Even though I was always taught, like obviously I never played to any sort of level that you have, but I was always taught to stay on your feet if you could score.
Feet, if
you could score, just stay on your feet and score, isn't it? Like don't, you might miss a penalty or whatever, but so last week Robin Davison sent some on Facebook some questions, but I don't know if they were a bit late or I just missed them where I was preparing for the show. So the first one he asked, which was I think is like a little bit of a joke, he says who did he think was the better footballer, himself or his brother Neil?
Well, Robin's a good friend of mine. I grew up with his brothers, my next door neighbour. So who's a better player, me or Matt? No brainer. You know what I mean? I'm miles better than my brother. You know what I mean? He'll probably beat me up because he's bigger and stronger than me. But I'm miles better.
Excellent. And then he says, seriously, who's the best of all the footballers he's played with? Defenders, attackers, and midfield.
Oh, to be fair, I've played with some world class footballers, but it has to be Juninho the first time he came because he was an absolute wizard when he came. You know what I mean? I was so in awe of the little fella when he came, and when I seen him training the first time, I thought, oh my God, imagine playing with this little genius. And then, luckily enough for me, that the following season I got my opportunity to make my debut alongside him, and it was just it's something that nobody can ever take away. And you know what I mean? I know Robin watched obviously the Middlesbrough side when Juninho played week in week out, and will agree with me when I say he was that brand of world class player is branded about quite easily now, but he was, and going back in the day, he was world class
quality, wasn't he? I remember him and Ravanelli playing for Middlesbrough was
just unreal, unplayable, and you know what I mean? It was just. How that football club got relegated and didn't win a major trophy because of them two, and you can go on about you're not given the divine right to win football matches, but those two could win a game on their own. It was just crazy, absolutely crazy.
Isn't it? He also asks who was the best manager you played for and who was the worst. Obviously, you've done the worst already.
The worst. Well, manager, you know, I mean, the best. I'll go two, and I'll go. Brian Robson gave him my debut at Middlesbrough, so I owe him a lot. But obviously, Lenny was like a father to me. You know what I mean? When I knew him when I signed schoolboy at Middlesbrough. Not many people know that, but when I was 14, Lenny signed me at Middlesbrough. So I always kept a good relationship with Lenny. I always kept in touch with him. And when he rang me to when he'd taken over at Cardiff once Corky had been sacked, it was a no-brainer. I was always going to sign for Cardiff, regardless who got in touch. And you know what I mean? He brought the best out of me. And I was absolutely heartbroken when he lost his job, and obviously new manager came in, and you know what I mean. It left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because he was such a nice, genuine guy and such a football man, loved the city, and you know what I mean, and got us that holy grail of promotion where, you know what I mean, everyone goes on about my goal, but if it wasn't for Lenny Lawrence, we wouldn't be where we are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Lenny has a huge place at that football club, and people should be proud that he was a successful manager of what we put in place, really.
Absolutely spot on. I couldn't have put that better myself. A big fan of Lenny Lawrence, me. So I had a question for you regarding Bury, but I think I'm going to save that one till next week because we've been going quite long, and it's like kind of a long one to discuss, which I wanted to get your take on it and discuss what we think we could do. And we did just get one last question right before I sort of took my boy to football. Craig Honeyman asked on Twitter, I think it was, he said, ask him if he remembers me calling him Forrest Gump live on the radio when Borough played Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know Craig very well. A lot. Obviously, yeah. I love running. Well, I love running really, really fast, and I think you know what I mean. I think I was even quicker at Middlesbrough. Because obviously, I think I got slower every season, but obviously not too slow. So, you know what I mean. I think people were extremely impressed by how quick I was, and you know what I mean. I know the supporters backed me because they know that I'd run through a brick wall for that football club, and I ran through it pretty quickly as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who sent questions in. We had a nice array of different ones. You can send them in as always. I'll put the tweet out and the message on Facebook probably over the weekend, and then I'll just collect them all in. It's facebook.com/ACEcastNation or Twitter. What is this? ACEcast_nation. Use the hashtag AceNationArmy because it's a little bit easier for me to delve through them and find them. And you can follow Andy on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. Like I say, follow the show at Twitter, Facebook. You can also see all our shows in video format at youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Audio download at the usual podcasting platforms and apps. Anything to add, mate?
No, all sorted, mate.
All good. It's a bit of a slightly longer show today, but that's because I've had all those questions. Thanks for joining me, mate. I enjoyed it again. It's been good stuff. And we will see you guys next week for another episode of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on Ace Podcast Nation. Cheers, guys.
See you, mate.
A star.